On August 28, 2023, the Chinese government unveiled a new map that stirred quite a controversy, sparking dissatisfaction from several nations. Many countries outright rejected China's revised map, citing it as a legal violation. I want to take a closer look at this map and explore the reasons behind the international backlash. The map's release was accompanied by a significant event in China, marked by a commentary from state media emphasizing the critical role of accurate maps. Interestingly, this was followed by a stern warning to the public about the potential societal harm caused by maps containing errors. It raises the question, why is this map causing such a stir, prompting neighboring nations to condemn it? Moreover, why did China find it necessary to reassure its citizens that the map is flawless and integral to national unity? Let's investigate the intricacies of this unfolding situation. To embark on this exploration, I'll need access to a high-resolution version of the map, and fortunately, the Chinese government has provided just that. As we dive into the details of the map, I'll unveil the intricacies that often go unnoticed at first glance. Despite its seemingly clean appearance, this map is a canvas for geopolitical complexities, featuring border disputes, disputed islands, an additional dash on an oceanic line, fortified areas wrapped in barbed wire, and indirect conflicts. This map serves as a compelling illustration of how cartography extends beyond a mere representation of geographic features. It becomes a tool for nations to assert and project power in their respective regions. Now let's explore the fascinating world of mapping and China's intriguing new map. The Chinese government envisions their country looking a certain way, but the reality is quite different. We'll take a journey from India to Taiwan, navigating through the complexities of the South China Sea. Oh, and here's an interesting tidbit. Chinese mapmakers are mandated to use an algorithm that deliberately scrambles the latitude and longitude coordinates on their maps, all in the name of national security. This makes working with Chinese maps a challenge, but we managed to decipher and align them with our mapping systems to bring you this video. So without further ado, let's dive into the intricacies of China's mapping saga. First on our mapping journey, let's zoom in on Kashmir, a region already heavily disputed between India and Pakistan. According to the map, China claims control over this area, a claim that is not without real-world implications as China exercises authority in the region. However, India intensely disputes this, asserting that Kashmir rightfully belongs to them, creating a significant source of tension. This contested zone is witnessing substantial infrastructural development from both sides, including the construction of roads, communication towers, and airfields, preparations in case a full-blown conflict erupts. The line of actual control, aptly named, serves as the de facto border in this mountainous terrain. Nestled in the Himalayas, the tallest mountains on Earth, defining clear boundaries proves challenging. Nevertheless, both India and China seek to assert control, particularly in crucial trade regions. This has led to a standoff between troops along this line, marked by the absence of a mutually agreed-upon border. Adding complexity to the situation, these are two nuclear-armed nations. To mitigate the risk, an agreement prohibits the use of firearms in this high-altitude zone. Instead, conflicts manifest in a manner reminiscent of medieval battles. Barbed wire-wrapped clubs and fence posts become the tools of engagement. The most recent clash occurred in 2020 near Ladakh, resulting in the tragic deaths of 20 Indian soldiers and 4 Chinese soldiers. This battle, resembling a past era, saw Indian and Chinese soldiers engaging with stones and bamboo poles on disputed land, underscoring the severity of tensions in this strategically vital region. Continuing our journey along the border between India and China, we encounter more pockets of disputed land in the expansive Himalayan region. As we proceed eastward, Nepal comes into focus. Recently, the leaked government report from Nepal raises concerns about China encroaching into Nepalese sovereign territory, undertaking construction projects without permission on Nepal's side of the border. Notably, the report from the HLA district in Nepal was met with hesitation, revealing the delicate position Nepal finds itself in. Strategically positioned between these two colossal nations, it must carefully navigate its relationships, with a significant emphasis on maintaining favorable ties with China. Continuing eastward, our journey takes us to another landlocked Himalayan nation, Bhutan. The border here makes a valiant attempt to demarcate these countries across a rugged, glacier-filled expanse. In 2006, China exerted subtle pressure on Bhutan, prompting the relinquishment of a significant mountainous territory. Bhutan, faced with limited options, conceded to China's demand, although this development has been kept relatively low profile. Despite Bhutan's discretion, China asserts control over this portion of Bhutan, signaling to the world that it is now under Chinese authority. China employs a similar approach in various regions of Bhutan, gradually blurring the northern border as they encroach southward. In 2020, China even claimed ownership of a forested nature sanctuary in Bhutan. Though curiously, this assertion doesn't align with the depicted borders on their official map. The strategic significance of China's claims becomes apparent in a narrow strip of land that holds particular importance. This area sheds light on why China is tightening its grip on Bhutan's borders, especially in this critical choke point between two geopolitical rivals, India and China. Zooming out, the map reveals the location of this vital corridor, known as the Chicken Neck, where India connects to its eastern states. This thin strip assumes strategic importance, emphasizing the geopolitical maneuvering at play in this region as China seeks to assert influence and control. These border maneuvers in Bhutan are widely perceived as a proxy for the ongoing tensions between China and India. Bhutan, much like Nepal, finds itself sandwiched between these two giants. Satellite images vividly capture Chinese incursions into Bhutan, where they built roads and barracks on undisputed Bhutanese territory. Moving forward, China's map extends its territorial claims to what it now designates as South Tibet, encompassing vast expanses that, in reality, belong to India. Populated by Indian citizens, this region's contested status traces back to an 890 kilometers borderline drawn in 1913 by a British representative in collaboration with a Tibetan counterpart. China, however, dismisses this demarcation as illegitimate, asserting that they now own Tibet and never authorized the delineation that separates Tibet from India. Hence, on their map, China claims all of this territory as its own. Taking territorial claims to a new level, China is not only redrawing borders on its maps, but also renaming geographical features, from mountain peaks to rivers and cities, across this vast region. This meticulous effort illustrates China's ambition to assert and standardize its influence in even the most remote corners of its territory, showcasing a comprehensive strategy to control every facet of its land. India, however, is not passively accepting these changes. In response, the Indian government is investing a substantial $500 million to construct roads and develop hundreds of villages. This strategic move aims to solidify India's claim to the contested land, highlighting the active measures nations are taking to safeguard their territorial integrity. Moving eastward, it's worth noting that during the pandemic, China has been erecting a fence along its border with Myanmar. This initiative primarily aims to regulate the movement of people and prevent the illicit flow of goods into China. Traditionally, this border has been porous, with people freely crossing back and forth for informal trade and cultural exchanges. However, the introduction of this fence has disrupted these informal interactions, causing discontent among the affected communities. If the intricacies of this border fence and its impact on local life interest you, please express your thoughts in the comments. While it may not be a disputed territory, it exemplifies China's heightened efforts to tighten its control over every corner of its expansive land. Now, we've reached the ocean, a part of the map that gets a bit complicated. According to the government's map, all the water within this dashed line is claimed by China. However, the reality is far from simple, as illustrated by the infamous 9-dash line, a hand-drawn boundary created by the Chinese government in the 1940s. This line, lacking precision and agreement from neighboring countries, is considered illegal by the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague, which deems it lawless as it violates international law by cutting through waters that rightfully belong to neighboring nations. The result is a confusing web of conflicting claims. Despite international objections, China, as a superpower, chooses to disregard these concerns and continues to operate as if the entire ocean enclosed by the 9-dash line is rightfully theirs. This expansive area, rich in fish, fossil fuels, strategically important islands, and crucial trade routes, has become a source of active conflicts with neighboring countries. For China, these aren't just lines on a map. They represent assertions of control and influence that extend far beyond mere cartography. China has undertaken extensive efforts to transform small reefs into fully fledged islands by depositing sand. Subsequently, military outposts are constructed on these newly formed islands. Over the past decade, China has established numerous such outposts in the South China Sea, strategically positioning them within waters that are internationally recognized as belonging to other countries. These militarized islands not only challenge established boundaries, but also serve as a platform for the Chinese Navy, which actively patrols these contested waters. Fishermen from neighboring countries often find themselves harassed, an unambiguous reminder that China asserts its own rules in these maritime territories, as reflected in their official map. Despite Taiwan's long-standing independence, China insists on including it as part of its territory on its official map. The Chinese government has been explicit about its willingness to reclaim Taiwan by force if necessary. The recent addition to the 9-dash line, introducing a 10th dash that extends perilously north to encircle the waters east of Taiwan, underscores China's assertiveness in the region. While this isn't the first appearance of a 10th dash on a Chinese government map, its inclusion sparks significant debate about its implications. Experts may differ on the precise meaning, but there is widespread agreement that China's ability to modify its maritime claim by simply adding another dash reinforces the original message. A hand-drawn line denotes China's historical entitlement to this region and its ocean. This gesture communicates China's readiness to assert its influence and behavior in its own neighborhood, particularly at a time when neighboring countries are aligning with its geopolitical rival, the United States. This alignment has led to a substantial military buildup in the region, prompting China to take measures to safeguard its perceived historical interests. Lastly, there's a surprising inclusion on the map, a small detail involving a river island claimed by China that rightfully belongs to Russia. A dispute arose, leading to a resolution 2 decades ago, when Russia and China agreed to redraw the border, returning half of the island to Russia. However, the new map once again declares China's claim over the entire island, leaving observers puzzled about the motive behind this revision. This latest Chinese map is essentially a series of political statements, as is the case with virtually every map. Some elements are open to debate, others might be seen as wishful thinking, and a few are undeniably assertive and aggressive. The underlying theme is clear. China, now a wealthy and powerful nation, is driven to express its geopolitical vision on the world stage. This serves as a reminder that maps have always been tools for great powers to articulate their aspirations, and this modern-day Chinese map is no exception to that historical trend.